This is the Shaver Prep Football Podcast, episode 36, season 2, presented by Aquarius Home Services and brought to you by Truestone Financial, 612 Quarterbacks, and powered by 10K Construction. Welcome to the postseason in Minnesota high school football. On Tuesday night, October 21st, the section quarterfinals begin, with most of the higher-rated teams earning a bye until Saturday. And with the Class 6A teams watching, we exclusively revealed the unique Class 6A playoff bracket first, right here on Talk North, last Thursday morning. Love the watch parties. The 4 top seeds in the 32-team Class 6A tournament are Maple Grove, Forest Lake, Centennial, and Rosemount. So here we go, starting Friday night. All right, the Class 6A playoffs open up Friday night this week, and these 4 coaches are excited to get their postseason started. Ben Burke from Lakeville South, Brad Beeskow from Forest Lake, Nick Keenan from Champlain Park, and Mark Esch from Minnetonka. Well, the 4 seeds are out. Maple Grove, Centennial, Rosemount, Forest Lake are the top seeds in your tournament. I'll start with you, Ben. You played Rosemount, lost to them the last night of the regular season. You guys had a great year at 6-2. How do you look at the 6A football playoffs? What should we be watching for in this tournament?
I would say just the physical brand of football 6A brings, right? I think there's plenty of teams that know how to control the line of scrimmage on offense and defensive line, and it's really about who makes the fewest amount of mistakes. Turnovers are huge. When teams are running the ball and there's shorter numbers of possessions and fewer plays on offense, you got to take advantage of what you get, and everybody gets a little bit tighter when if you lose, you go home. And so it's going to be the team that shows up and makes the fewest mistakes.
Brad, when I talked to Howie Johnson before the season started, he made a point of saying, this is the year where we are all going to be so focused on winning. And he was right. Yep. You guys have been focused all season long. What's the key for Forest Lake to advance in the 6A tournament?
Yeah, I think kind of like Coach said, it's about yourself. We've kind of talked about it all over. There's so many good teams and anybody can beat you at any time. You have to focus on what you're doing and your brand of football. I think hidden yardage is such a huge part of the game, particularly the way that we play with physicality and who's going to get stopped for a 1-yard gain that turns it into a 5-yard gain? Who's going to get, a negative 3-yard play that we end up getting the football in with a fumble and those kind of things. So taking care of the ball is always number one. That hidden yardage piece is so big, and that's what our guys focus on all the time is just what can we do, right? Not just what does the other team do.
The North was so competitive this year, Nick. So many good teams. Centennial, yourself, Osseo had a good year. Blaine is sitting there. Would it surprise you to see a team from the North get deep into this tournament?
No, Centennial is the 1 seed, so that shouldn't be a surprise if they can slide through. But, they're just some great teams. And a few of the teams in our division may be different from the South and the West a little bit. They're kind of more spread teams, maybe spread it out to run the ball. I'm still waiting for that first spread team to win the 6A championship. It was kind of us in 2019. We didn't quite get it done, but it seems like you need to be able to run the football to win the state championship in Minnesota. But, with Moorhead, even with Anoka, with Blaine, some of those, spread teams, we'll see how they can do. But, the weather looks to be pretty nice the next few weeks. Yeah. I'm just excited to kind of see the different, sections cross over with each other. Because I was talking to the coaches when we were off air. It's you watch the film, you just don't know how you're going to match up till the game starts. We tell our kids, after that first play, you're going to know physically to a man if you think you can beat that guy across from you. So I'm excited.
Mark Esch, your Minnetonka team loses a couple of games heading into the postseason last year. Then you guys turn it on. You get all the way to the Prep Bowl. You're kind of in the same situation as you were a year ago. Size up your football team, especially getting your quarterback back.
Well, we're a spread team. We feel like we can run the ball. So hopefully
with
we're
Caleb
there.
Francois,
Hopefully we're there.
Yeah.
Yes, we have Caleb. And getting our quarterback back allows us to move Caleb around, and we just think he's so much of a weapon. Those first couple games, he had over 200 yards receiving, as well as 200 yards a game rushing. And our defense is fast, and they're young, and they're learning a lot of hard lessons. And I think when it really starts to click for them, which is hopefully really soon, we can be a really good football team. So we're very optimistic, but we're not going to look past Anoka. And I think when these games come down to turnovers and everything and possessions, like last night, there were no turnovers in our game against Maple Grove.
Yeah.
That made the 4th and 1s, and we had them 3rd and 11, and they converted. Those are huge plays. So, it's just a microcosm of football.
Only one undefeated team in Class 6A, and that is Maple Grove, who finished the year 8-0, and of course they're the defending 6A champions. My thanks to you guys. The 6A playoffs again start on Friday night. Aquarius Home Services takes water treatment to an all-star level with the Connecticut water treatment system. And now get up to 25% off with 6-month no payments and no interest financing for qualified buyers. It's a great deal for worry-free water for drinking, worry-free water for cleaning, laundry, showers, dishes, and more. And all of this with on-demand efficiency that uses zero electricity. Trust me, it is life-changing. Find out more at aquariushomeservices.com. Aquarius, earning the right to be recommended. Moorhead quarterback Jet Feeney is back from a shoulder injury and led the Spuds to a 51-44 win over Edina Wednesday night. And his receiver had a huge game. Junior David Mack caught 18 passes for 202 yards and 4 touchdowns in that win to earn our Walk the Talk winner this week. Mack leads the state with 76 catches for 1,046 yards and 17 touchdowns. So now the march to U.S. Bank Stadium begins around Minnesota, and the man in charge of high school football at the State High School League says we are ready. Well, Bob Madison is in charge of football at the State High School League, and of course the playoffs start on Tuesday. Then Friday, Class 6A will kick off their playoffs, and then we come back on Saturday. It is a busy week. It is the busiest week of the year, I think, for high school football in a lot of ways. Bob, what stands out to you as we head into the 2025 football playoffs?
Randy, it's hard to believe we're in the playoffs, to be quite honest. That is a really fast 11 weeks, right? When you think about acclimatization, and here we are in week 8 in MAA. And, not only am I in the role as the director of football, but I'm also a father with a son who's playing at Mounds, So it's those Friday nights have been special. Last night, obviously, being Wednesday. The weather really stands out, Randy, and I'm going to knock on wood somewhere when we're done on this because we had a spectacular start and a really nice finish. We also had minimum number of games on Thursdays this year, especially here in the Metro. Obviously, I watch in the non-Metro as well. I'm very proud of our officials, very proud of our coaches, and most importantly, our student athletes. I mean, what a show they put on every week and the lessons that they learn through the sport of football. Our football numbers are really good. The number of females playing football right now, and many of them going on to the flag season in the spring as well, along with our partnership with the Minnesota Vikings. Like, we just continue to see what they're doing down at TCO to promote the high school game. And we should be very proud in this state that we have high school football. And we just greatly appreciate your presence and promotion as well, Randy.
Well, the 6A bracket was released on Thursday last week. And I think personally, the 3 additions from 5A to 6A have made a marked difference in just maybe the caliber of competition in that middle 3 through 6 seed range. And it adds a lot of intrigue. What's your take on 6A football, the format? Why does it work so well? And the additions of Moorhead and Rogers and Andover?
Yeah, there's been an evolution of 6A football in my 9 years, and really going back to 2015. There were times when we didn't have 32 teams in the regular season portion, yet would have 32 teams or less in the postseason, depending on appeals. I personally believe it's best to have all 32 in during the regular season and the postseason because we can best take care of teams at all levels. It used to be the metro area, and then Rochester Mayo comes in with their enrollment and upsets the apple cart, or we upset their apple cart, depending on how you're talking or who you're talking to. And then comes Moorhead. And I know there's consternation, and I get a lot of questions on why would you do that to a community and having to travel and so on and so forth. And what I would say, on any given night, both communities embraced Moorhead, and Moorhead embraced them, and the feedback from them has been just fantastic. That's one community. They're a big school. They performed incredibly well. I think the Rogers, the Andovers, the Rochester Mayos in the past, the Buffaloes, they show there's really a thin line between that 5A and 6A schools at that level. And let's not forget Coon Rapids opting up to play in 6A, to play opponents that are more like them and that they're used to playing. And good for them to step up and compete where they can and really get better. A team like, Hopkins as well, competing and having a schedule in which they can win 4 games. But the addition of those teams that you mentioned, the Moorheads, the Rogers, and the Andovers, they can compete. Their coaches do a great job. Their communities embraced it, and so did their opponents.
All right, so 5A to 9-player. The format for the playoffs, the same as last year, correct?
Yeah,
so it's going to be
correct,
4
right?
in the South, 4 in the North. Talk about that dynamic a year ago. How did it work, or 2 years ago? How has it been working? And do you think that's kind of the way of the future for those classes of football?
Yeah, and we have a little bit to get. We have to get through the section tournaments before we'll do that seeding at the state level.
Right.
Football really likes what 6A has, yet we can be 6 hours apart from opponents. And seeding is different when you don't have common opponents. So, splitting the North and the South geographically is something our coaches wanted to try, and our board approved that. So we're in year 2 of this experiment. I think the best part of it is that crossing over when you get to the semifinals. Yeah. That has added a similar intrigue to 6A football, and I think it's a little more predictable than even 6A. So our coaches, I think, are learning and seeing that. I think our fans have loved it. And when you hear the South is stronger or the North is stronger, and then it doesn't necessarily play out that way, it's fun to have it play out and not just be in the South or in the North. So to have that crossover, I would love to have 8 teams in every section, but that isn't a reality with 7 classes. So not everybody's going to play next Tuesday. Our coaches would prefer not to have 3 games in that short period of time. We're going to continue to look at that. Yet we'll see the model of, the Gophers are playing on a Friday night after a Saturday game, and every NFL team has a Thursday night game more often than not following a Sunday game. So this isn't something we want to do every week, but it is something that is allowed at this time from a health and safety standpoint. And it's an exciting time of the year. It's a sprint right now, and our teams need to stay healthy. And we're just looking forward to getting indoors at the bank too, but we're going to enjoy this weather while we have it as well.
What's the biggest issue facing high school football in Minnesota in 2025 that you hope we can figure out a way to fix for 2026?
We need to continue to have more officials. I talked about the numbers of crews that we have. We need to get them experience, and they need help. I'm also looking, Randy, we're going to experiment with a 7-person crew this year once we get to the semifinals and the prep bowl at all levels. So from 9-player to 6A, they're going to have 7 officials.
Wow.
I think that is going to benefit the game. I believe that we need it, especially at those bigger, stronger, faster games. But we need more officials to be able to do that. We are not on Thanksgiving weekend this year for the prep bowl, which I think is a good thing. But that's more from a scheduling, semantic side of things. Right. We need to make sure that we have access to football in every part of this state. We need every school, no matter what their size, the opportunity to play the sport of football. We need to preserve those co-ops that we have. We did have some teams that weren't able to complete their schedules this year. That bothers us. That bothers me. It bothers our coaches. How do we make sure that those programs are sustainable and they have access to coaches like we offer right now? That is a continued mantra from us, that we need to continue to grow the game at all levels. And I believe that's best done through our coaches. We're going to continue to work together on that.
Bob, I appreciate your time very much. It's always an exciting time when we get from the regular season to the postseason, because everybody, it's win or go home. And that's an exciting time, I think, for a lot of people. Thank you, Bob. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Randy, for all your work. And again, the promotion of high school football. Appreciate you.
10K Construction is your one stop for all your general contracting needs, whether interior, exterior, residential, commercial, or multifamily properties. They build relationships with their clients, and that's how they've grown their business through referrals. Plus, they are teaming up with LP SmartSide to become Minnesota's premier siding installer. And they're also partnering with IKO Shingles as well. They've got the best of the best to do the job right. 10K Construction covers both Minnesota and Wisconsin. Now, the rumor is they charge a little extra because it's Packer land. I'm not sure about that, but what I am sure about, 10K Construction is the company you want handling all of your general contracting needs. Go to 10kconstruction.com for details. This episode is brought to you by 612 Quarterbacks, Minnesota's premier quarterback development program. At 612Qs, they're committed to creating a high-quality quarterback development program, both affordable and accessible. Their training goes beyond the basics, not only focusing on proper throwing mechanics and footwork, but also building strong football IQ, leadership, and resilience. Their mission is to educate, inspire, and challenge athletes to raise their standards on the field and in life. Through training and mentorship, they're building more than quarterbacks. They're building a community rooted in growth, accountability, and shared success. Learn more today at 612quarterbacks.com. Well, the Barber family may be recognized as really the first family of Gopher football, and joining me is Dom Barber, part of that family legacy for the Barbers. Thanks for doing this. I want to read something here. The Barber legacy is extensive. So your dad, Marion Barber Jr., was an outstanding running back for the Gophers. His records have since been broken, but he was the all-time record holder for rushing yards, touchdowns, career 100-yard games, played from 78 to 81, played some years in the NFL for the Jets. Your older brother, Marion Barber III, was an outstanding college running back for the Gophers, as we all remember, played 7 years in the NFL for the Cowboys, tragically passed away in June of 2022. You played safety, defensive back for the Gophers, drafted by the Texans. So you had a great career at the U. And then your younger brother, Thomas, was an outstanding linebacker for the Gophers as well. When you read that and you hear it and you see it, that's incredible. I mean, first of all, how proud is your dad of that? And what do you think of that when you hear that?
Yeah. First off, thanks for having me on. It's a true blessing. My dad, I know for sure, just growing up, right, he never forced us to do anything or play anything or go anywhere, right? It just kind of naturally happened. And he's extremely proud. Those that know my dad, he's a very laid back, humble guy. And he just kind of let us do our thing. And it happened to be, we all went to the U. We bleed it. We love it, and we still call it roll the boat, right?
Yeah.
So,
well, tell me about growing up with three brothers who are super active, with a dad who's a former NFL player. What was it like growing up in that atmosphere?
Yeah, it was like you said, active.
Yeah.
We were always active. We had a pretty big yard growing up, so neighborhood football was always going on,
yeah.
Or just neighborhood anything, roller hockey, baseball. We were active. It was a lot of fun, and we competed, not necessarily against each other. Marion was 3 years older than me, but Thomas was 11 years younger than me, but we were very supportive of each other. We all knew where we wanted to go, and we all made sure that we challenged each other to make sure we were able to at least have an opportunity to get there, and we just followed the leader in our dad.
So you played hockey as well as played football. What was that dynamic like in your house?
It was interesting. It's funny too, because hockey, I mean, even to this day, it truly is my first love.
Really?
Yeah.
More than football?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's necessarily the the action of hockey or football. I think it's just the dynamic of my relationships that I built with my buddies that grew me closer to love that game that much more.
That's crazy.
But my parents, they as long as we were active, didn't matter what we played.
Yeah.
And so all my buddies were playing hockey, and I wanted to play hockey. So it took me a while to figure it out. A lot of parents will tell me, squirts was when I could really stop. I was just the guy that, somewhat had some speed on the ice, and I just used the boards to stop me. But I truly love hockey, and my parents, they supported me in everything that I did, and same with my brothers.
Forward, defenseman, what'd you play, and how good were you?
I was a forward. It was fun. I looked at hockey also it was football on skates. Okay. So, the hitting
that makes sense.
The hitting was a little more intense actually, because you could get more speed. But man, I love hockey. I'm a big Gopher and Wild fan, and still watch a lot of puck today.
What was your dad like as an influence on you guys? Maybe and away from sports for a second, just his influence on you guys, and your mom's influence too.
It's everything. I try to raise my kids the same way. Which it's a high standard. One thing about our family is, humble, right? Yeah. We're very blessed to be where we are, go where we went and are going. Very grateful for that. Right. So, I tell my kids, my wife and I that, hey, live in the moment, right? Treat everybody with respect. I don't care if it's the janitor or the principal or the CEO of Target, right? You treat everybody the same. And in the end, things will be all right for you, right? And so that's kind of the motto that my parents kind of used, and that's what I try to keep today.
We've talked a little bit about Marion III and his passing a few years ago. How has that still impacted your family?
It's challenging still. I try not to, get choked up. It's hard, especially when you have, I have 4 kids, and it's hard to, try to be him for them, right? Or my younger brother as well. But love what you do what you love. That was my brother saying. And my kids, they had a tournament this week in the Dells, and my wife's big on making sure that their names are on their drinking,
on their bottles,
water bottles, yeah. And so that's what they have their name on top, and they have love what you do what you love on the bottom. So that's another cool thing is like YouTube, right? YouTube's great because they'll just go and YouTube Uncle Marion, and they'll see plenty of videos, they'll see plenty of interviews, right? So it's a blessing to have that. But it's hard. It's really every day. I think about him every day. Yeah. It's really hard still to not be able to pick up the phone and call my big brother.
Yeah. For those that don't know, Dom played at Wayzata. Marion III and Dom played at Wayzata. Thomas played for Armstrong High School football. You played football for Wayzata. What was Friday Night Lights like for you at Wayzata?
It was everything. It's actually funny you say that. An opportunity so Tanner Morgan's got some camps going on, and Monday night, my brother and we had an opportunity to coach some kids up in tackling. It was my brother, Kamal Martin, Jack Leas. We were out in Rogers. It's about 20 kids, so a super intimate group where we could really dig down and dig deep. And one of the things I said to him was, I was blessed to play on pretty much every day of the week. Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Thursday. Yeah. There's nothing like Friday Night Lights. Absolutely nothing like it. The production on a Monday night's cool, but when you're playing in front of your community, people you grew up with, your classmates, there's nothing better than those Friday Night Lights, 7 p.m. kickoff games. Call it at Wayzata High School. I'll never forget those days. And even when I go back now, or we live in Maple Grove, even if we go to Maple Grove games, I take it in because you just don't get that time back.
It's funny you say that because a lot of NFL players that I've either interviewed or just talked with will always say that the most special time for, even if they won a Super Bowl, their most special time for football was high school.
I don't know what it is, but I 100% agree with that. And I think it's just, you grow up from an infant to 18 years. That's 18 years of your life that you've been in that community. And you want to give it all to them. And, I remember, I think we lost 3 losses my senior year at Minnetonka in overtime. Armstrong got stuffed on the one. Actually, Armstrong twice. Yeah. It's those losses that I'll never forget. But I don't know what it is, other than it's just, the love for your community and love for the area you grew up in.
So let's fast forward to your NFL career, because it was kind of cut short by injuries. How would you describe what the NFL was like to play in for you?
Blessing, another blessing, right? I had an opportunity to play for Coach Kubiak, which, obviously Kub was the OC for the Vikes here for a couple of years. And his mentality was, do your work, do your job, be accountable. If you're on time, you're late. If you're early, you're on time. And that's why here we are, right? I think we were set for noon, and I was, 20 minutes early because, I like to be early. But it was everything. And I bring what I learned playing in the NFL to what I do today, right? And so all of the same, accountability, responsible, on time, it all carries over to the business world that I'm in now. And I'm very grateful to have that exposure at such a young age, because I'm young for my age. So I was drafted, I was 21, turning 22. And that you're young. And then you walk into a locker room that are grown men with families. And it's like,
it's crazy.
You better strap them up early and often. And, you better do what you need to do. Or otherwise, you're not going to be here very long.
Do you wish the career would have been a little bit less injury filled and had a chance to play a little bit longer?
I do. I do. I knew I always wanted kids, and I always loved seeing my teammates after 2 days, their kids run out and give them a hug. I always wanted that.
Yeah. I get that.
But at the same time, things happen, and you got to move on. And I was fortunate enough to the university; they hold their scholarships forever, so I was able to go back to school and finish. And then Coach Kill at the time, he hired me, and then Clays, and then Coach Fleck, and then once my wife and I started having kids, I knew I wanted to be very involved, and I knew Coach Fleck was changing the culture, and you expected a lot, and it just wasn't fair to the staff and his players that I couldn't be there as often as I needed to be. So I got out and, doing what I'm doing now.
All right. So let's put your coach's hat on for a second. This is a high school football podcast. We get players and coaches to watch this. Put your coaching hat on. You're coaching defensive backs. What should young defensive backs in high school or about to begin a high school career, what should they be thinking about doing, working on, that you think are the most important things to be very good at playing that position?
First off, I'll even take a step back in school, right? School is the most important, because you can be the best football player in the U.S.
And we've seen this before.
But if you don't have the school thing, you're not going to be able to play at the next level. But first off, love the game. If you don't love the game of football, if you don't love waking up at 6 a.m. to work out in May to get ready for the season, if you don't love to wake up at 6 a.m. for treatment, if you don't love to wake up at 6 a.m. to push the next person, your teammate, watch film, do the extra, you might as well just get out now, because if you have the ability to, or the opportunity to make it to the next level, you're in at 6 and you're home at 9, right? And whether that's football or school or both, it's a grind. And so you have to embrace and love the grind. And as a DB, right, they always say us DBs, we can't play receiver because we can't catch, right? So work on your hands.
That's unfair, though. You know that.
Totally.
That's not fair.
But listen to your coaches, right? And do the extra work, right? Practice might end at 3:00, but do the extra 15, 20 minutes after work, whether that's doing conditioning, whether that's doing backpedaling, whether that's catching the ball. Do the extra and work when the coaches aren't watching you as a player, right? When they're not watching and you're doing the little things where no one's watching, that's where you can separate yourself from others.
I appreciate you doing this.
Thank you.
It's great to see you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Tom. We'll be right back. I was visiting with my friends at True Stone Financial the other day. They're a warm and welcoming group. They're known as the Neighborhood Credit Union, and I can't think of a better way to describe them. When I'm at True Stone, I feel like I'm chatting with my neighbors. Combine that personality with a full menu of services and a lot of financial expertise, and you have a winning combination. Whether I need a checking account, a car loan, or even a mortgage, I know I'm going to work with some very smart, friendly people. With 23 locations in Minnesota and Wisconsin, you're not far from a True Stone neighborhood. Visit a branch near you or learn more at truestone.org. True Stone is an equal housing opportunity lender. Our Talk North game of the week is Friday night, October 21st in Class 6A. Maybe the most intriguing matchup. 6-seed Moorhead travels to 3-seed Blaine. Moorhead, of course, with quarterback Jet Feeney back on the field. The Shaver Prep Football Podcast drops every Monday, and you can catch us on YouTube and where podcasts can be found. Again, the playoffs in Minnesota high school football start this week. It's going to be fun. My thanks to producer Alex Haugen and the great folks here at Talk North. Thanks for watching and listening, and we'll see you next week.